On January the 16th, this was 2003 now, she told me that she's going to go caving again. Well, that wasn't unusual. She was caving all the time, all summer long, all that fall, all that, early winter, she was caving. She said this time, though, she was going to go with her caving friends. She didn't say who, but only her caving friends, is that they would go down, they were going to go down to Laredo, Texas, rent a bus down there, and then go on down to somewhere in Mexico and explore this really huge cave that was down there. And she told me this time she'd be gone a lot longer than just a weekend. She'd probably be gone at least a week, maybe even 2 weeks. I just kind of basically said, goodbye, have a good time. And she said, okay. But around midnight that night, she called my my other daughter, her sister, her younger sister, on my daughter's cell phone, not on our regular phone in the home, but on my daughter's cell phone. And she said, Michelle, she said, I want you to know that if anything happens to me, I want you to know that I love you. Now, she didn't do that. She wasn't one to just constantly tell her sister that she loves her all the time. It was kind of unusual for her to just actually come out and say, I love you. January the 27th, she gives me a call, actually, that she says, I'm still in Mexico, but I may be here for even another couple of weeks, and I don't want you, I know you're expecting me to be back by now, but I'm not going to be back. Don't worry about it, everything's just fine. So I thought, well, okay, I guess she can take care of herself. I guess she knows what she's doing. And I figured she's with friends and stuff. I figured, it's all right. Deputy Sheriff Brownell, I believe, Stephen Brownell, Brownell. He calls me and he says that first of all he wanted to talk to LeAnn. I said, well, you can't. She's on a expedition in Mexico. She's caving with some friends. And he says, are you sure? And I said, well, yeah. She just called me a few days ago. And he says, well, we have her car. We found her car abandoned, not far from Moab, and it has all of her stuff in it. The car was found abandoned. They found no sign, no footprints, no drag marks, of course, no body. But they did notice that there was some tire tracks that had come behind her car, and it looked like there was footprints that had gotten out of her car and got into the other car. And then that car turned around and went back. So they did have that. So it indicated that she drove the car there herself and abandoned it and then got into another car. Some of her credit card bills came in. And I found out that she actually had, instead of going down to Texas, when she left my place on the 16th, she went in the opposite direction. And for example, she had used her credit card on January the 17th in Wyoming, near around Laramie, Wyoming. I'm not sure if it was her getting gas or something. And then on the 18th, she either went to an ATM machine, or she used it anyway. She used her credit card again, and it was in Baker City, Oregon. Suddenly she's down in Reno, Nevada, and she's taking money out of her checking account in Reno, Nevada. Now this is when it becomes very alarming, because when she went to Reno, Nevada, she overdrew on her checking account by $4,000. So from Reno, she went across Nevada, came back, and went back to Laramie. And then from Laramie, around midnight, she writes a check in Fort Collins, Colorado. This was on January the 22nd. by the time in that route that she took, by the time she came back from Fort Collins on the 22nd, she then came back to Denver. She had spent about $6,000. So it looks like she drove right after she left Grand Junction, Colorado. She went, abandoned the car, and I think that was the day she was murdered. I think, no, I think it's the 29th. I think she drove out that afternoon, abandoned the car up there late afternoon of the 29th. And what happened from that point on, once she abandoned the car, I don't know. Only that obviously Scott Kimball was involved in this. I think in order to get her to the place where her body was found, he couldn't have carried her there. It would be too hard for her to carry dead weight because she wasn't light. She probably weighed a good 150 pounds. So I mean, it'd be very hard, especially going straight up that last little thing. It was just almost straight up like this, pretty steep. He must have pulled a gun on her, forced her. I don't know. See, I don't know. That's a part of the timeline that only Scott Kimball can say what he did or what happened at that point.